Welcome, everyone. In case you have been in one of these Q&A/discussion sessions, yeah, this is basically, we can discuss whatever sort of Buddhist topic you want. And yeah, you just, maybe you can raise your virtual hand and I can see you most easily. And then, yeah, I try to answer something. I'm not claiming to know all the answers, but I will always give it a try, and then we can discuss further. So if there's anything on anyone's mind, please start. And there are no stupid questions, but there might be stupid answers from my side.
Arne, hi.
Hi.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
That's okay. So if nobody else is talking, it's fine. But in case...
So this question might not be related specifically to non-draw, but I had these questions a lot of time in my mind, and I couldn't find the right answer. So maybe you can help me. So I've heard many times that Vajrayana is very magic, I would say, and it seems that you have to be outside of the box, right? We are used to thinking inside that box, and this type of Buddhism helps you break those borders, so you can see the magic. That's what I've heard, and sometimes I feel tempted to ask or to request that magic to help me. So my rational mind tells me that doesn't exist. But then on the other side, I heard my master saying magic does exist. So where I can find that magic? How is that I can see that magic?
Yeah. So first of all, just recently I studied a little bit the etymology of what vehicles or tenets mean, like or philosophical systems. And Tibetan actually it always means like limit of establishment, and by that they mean that we go beyond our limits, that we go beyond the box of our usual thinking. So my first small answer is actually all Buddhist systems try that. They all try to help us to go beyond our limitations, our box systems. And like Genrin Triple said, they try that we believe more the unbelievable and less believe what we already believe. You got it? So they all want to open us up, and widen our horizon. And then definitely, if you compare Sutrayana to Vajrayana, then Vajrayana is supposedly like very powerful in doing that and more swift and using all kinds of methods that or things that otherwise maybe would have been rejected in other yanas. And they do also have logic, but yeah, they really aim to go beyond the reasonable mind, like but because like in Buddhism, like logic or reason is not totally seen as bad, but logic and reasoning and concepts, they have their value, but only to us, to not all the way, so they bring you further and they clarify, you know, we go from negative concepts to good concepts. We go from confused logic or confused thinking to more straightforward and clear thinking. But then Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche usually is saying, yeah, this brings us somewhere, but like there's so much more to practice and to experience that is beyond our normal logic. And so therefore, yeah, we have to gain another, we have to develop another method of understanding reality or truth. And then, yeah, of course, in Buddhism, magic comes in and meditation comes in. That's what I wanted to say. In Buddhism, meditation comes in. And yeah, Vajrayana meditation is especially powerful in that because, yeah, you call it magic because it is, let's discuss what magic is, but it's basically something that is, yeah, beyond that normal reasoning mind. And yeah, and Vajrayana is already like magical in the sense that we are from the get-go, we are not supposed to see each other as an ordinary person, you know, like me, I'm a German, like you are Brazilian, right? Or some? No.
No, from Uruguay. I'm Uruguayan.
Okay. So close. Yeah. So whatever, you know, like Uruguay and whatever characteristics you think you have and my characteristics. So we have like a very ordinary perception of ourselves. Yeah. And so right from the beginning, Vajrayana is introducing that this is fine that we perceive ourselves in these boxes or characteristics, but actually we are like, by nature, we have always been beyond those, you know, and we have always been the deity, or we have always been a Buddha since ever, you know, since beginning this time. So that is sort of like the biggest step out of the box, I feel, you know, and that is the greatest magic, you know, to understand, yeah, that our true nature is not my limited German mind, but it's like the vast, open Buddha wisdom. And that I'm not having like these 10 qualities that I think I have, you know, like whatever, being able to cook palak paneer or noodles, you know, or clean the desk, but that I have all the Buddha qualities in me, you know. So, so therefore, Vajrayana is doing that, you know, that they are saying, hey, you guys are much more a Buddha or the deity than what you think you are at the moment, you know, in your ordinary identification. And then, yeah, then the methods are like, yeah, that we are dropping this ordinary perception and we sort of really like study, contemplate, and practice the view of that purity that we are actually are. Does it make sense so far, or do you want to
No,
say
it
something?
does. It does.
But that I think is the biggest magic, you know, or the biggest horizon or the biggest out of the box thinking, you know, that yeah, that we get used to the understanding that we are Buddha by nature, you know, we always have been, you know, we have this complete wisdom in us, and that is non-conceptual, non-referential, full of qualities. But we are blocking ourselves, you know, with our ordinary perception of ourselves, with our clinging to ourselves, with our fear of the unknown. So I feel like Vajrayana is, yeah, very powerful in opening ourselves up like that. And then, of course, not only thinking, yeah, I am Buddha by nature, but all you are not. But of course, understanding that we all are by nature exactly same, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you. And Yvonne, yeah, you can ask whatever. Just ask about Vajrayana symbolism. I don't know if I know everything there, but just ask.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if this was appropriate here, but like I had just a general question. Can you talk a little bit, you know, if there's actually two questions, Arne. One is, for example, the moon, the sun and the moon, Just in general, for example, we visualize Vajrasattva on a moon disk, but in general, like sun and moon, compassion, skillful means. But can you talk a little bit about that? And also like the Vajrayogini, not necessarily in this practice, but like even in the Nantro, if we go to Guru Yoga, you know, we have the Rakta there. There's Amrita and Rakta, and some of us, they maybe join in at Dzog also, or kind of a practice. She's even standing on a corpse. Can you talk a little bit about this specific? Is that all a kind of wisdom and skillful means, or just is that enough for you to?
No, but usually that is all when there is, you know, what they do. In Sutrayana, we call it Bodhicitta, relative and absolute Bodhicitta. And then in Vajrayana, we have all these different symbolisms with the sun and the moon disk, for example, is also the same as like the wisdom and the method. And that, of course, also relates to what we have in the what is it in the inner body. You know, we have this white bindu, you know, the white drops that we got from the father, and the red drops that we got from the mother. So therefore, yeah, the sun is usually symbolizing the wisdom, and the moon is more the compassion part, and Rakta, let me think what that was about, because we have this in Amrita, Trauma, and Rakta.
But Arne, just one minute. Why is Vajrasattva always only symbolized on a moon disk? I don't know. It's maybe conceptual, but I like to know.
You mean why there is no
He's
sun there?
only visualized on a moon disk, Vajrasattva.
Oh, I was not even aware of that. I don't have a good answer for that. Not all deities have all discs, sort of, you know. And of course, just a side note, because Veronica was asking that earlier, like Khyentse Rinpoche is saying, we visualize moon disk, sun disk, and all of that. That is also to bring us outside of the box, of course. Because, yeah, it doesn't rationally make sense, you know, how a flower, or how there can be such a big lotus flower, or how moon disk and sun disk, you know, that would burn everything, you know, with the sun disk. Yeah, so that is always part of the Vajrayana training. And then the symbolism usually is always these two, you know, what you mentioned, wisdom and skillful means. They are always coming together in so many different forms, as male and female deities, yeah, as the bindus, as I said, as sun and the moon disk, as maybe right and left hand. What else do we have?
Yeah, I was just wondering why Vajrayogini is drinking the Rakta. You know, like in a kind of an offering, you have like the wisdom and compassion, like Amrita and the Rakta, but like Vajrayogini is really symbolized. She's like, okay, she has the knife to cut through the emotions, the negative emotions,
Yeah.
and then she has the Rakta. And I've never found something in a book, and maybe that's not important, but like for me, it's kind of like I want to grasp on that symbolism a little bit.
Usually that should the meaning should be like that she is drinking the heart blood of samsara, you know, that which keeps samsara alive, you know. When you look into the male versions, you know, we have Heruka, and that is in Tibetan Traktung, and that means blood drinker also, you know. So that means you're like sucking out the life force of samsara so that it's collapsing. It's similar to what we have with Karab Dorje, you know, when he's writing this text, Tixumnetic, like striking the vital essence with 3 words or something. So he's also like striking sort of the point where that holds samsara together, and then destroying that, and then samsara collapses. So likewise, that is usually the case when blood drinkers are depicted, that they killed samsara by that, by drinking the life force of samsara. Diego,
Hi.
hi.
So I'm doing the Nodro, and we have the morning practice when we wake up, the breathing techniques. And, I want to understand a little bit more in depth about that. So is there something that I can read or study about the channels and breathing techniques and how this relates to the practice?
Yes,
Or-
they are good books. You are also Diego, right? Who just wrote something, right?
Yeah.
Can you say again, you want to know more about the channels and stuff because you're doing the Nandro morning practice, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah. Also, I'm studying Words of My Perfect Teacher and
Yes.
commentary on Words of My Perfect Teacher, and
Oh, cool.
even in the even on the preliminaries, when he's explaining about the refuge, he's some way or another he comments about the channels and the Bindu, and you were talking about that right now, and but it doesn't go very deep in that. So it's always like I'm always trying to understand a little more about it, but I don't find resources or reliable resource at least.
Okay, for me, my favorite book is by Jigme Lingpa. It's called Treasury of Precious Qualities. It has like 2 volumes. One is, I think the Sutra volume is more blue and then red, and the Vajrayana volume is more red and blue in the middle. Let me Google it. Wait. So basically volume 2, but you need a lung and empowerment even to read it. That is what Khenchen Pema Sherpa Rinpoche says, but you could already have the book and make aspirations. It's called Yonten Rinpoche 2.
What long and empowerment I would need to
Usually they ask for Shidra, this empowerment of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And then a teacher who's sort of explaining it to you, and by explaining, giving the lung.
what is the name?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just found it on Amazon. I will share it. Yeah, this one. And there, so that really talks about, so you see it's book 2, and it's red outside and blue in the middle. The Sutra Yana book looks exactly the same, but red and blue is switched. And so this talks about Vajrayana, and in Vajrayana it talks about the entrance gate of Vajrayana, which is taking the empowerment. And then it talks about the practice, which is Kieram, the generation stage, and the completion stage, Tsokram. And then it talks about your friends on the path of the Vajrayana path, which are the Samayas. And then it goes into ground path and fruit of Dzogchen. But what you would find very interesting, I'm sure, is in the first part of Vajrayana here in this book, when it's talk about Kieram and Tsokram, then in Tsokram, the completion phase, there he is explaining all the nadis, winds, bindus and stuff. And that really makes sense. It's a whole explanation of the anatomy. And yeah, Jigme Lingpa is of course writing in verse form, but yeah, in the book is the commentary by Kangyur Rinpoche, father of Jigme Khenze Rinpoche and Tulku Pema Wangya Rinpoche, and so there's like a big commentary in the book, which is very helpful. And that part actually, interestingly, even though it's Tsokram completion stage, I know some teachers who teach it more freely because even like for yoga people, it seems they think it's very important. So they just do it and explain it. Yeah. But for me, that is my favorite Bible on that topic.
But what is the name of the empowerment you said that's necessary to read it?
Shitra. Wait, I write it somewhere. And Shitra, I write it in the text. In the chat. So she is like peaceful and Chur is like wrathful. You know, there is this whole mandala of peaceful and wrathful deities, and together they are like 100. And so that is usually the empowerment that is required in order to enter this text. It's also the requirement, even though you didn't ask for that earlier, but it's also the requirement to read Guhyagarbha Tantra, which is a very important Tantra in the Nyingma tradition. She drew the empowerment in the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And of course, as you know, with empowerments, yeah, let's not take them randomly, but from a teacher that we trust. And
Okay, thank you.
thank you. But it's really interesting. You know, like the Jigmeling is of course explaining it how it is explained that yeah, we can really use the physical body by using these subtle parts of the body, like the channels, the inner winds, and the essence drops, and that really helps to then work on our mind. You know, like working through these subtle physical substances, we do yeah, we can develop our mind. Yeah. And yes, Joyce, what you are writing, yes, usually we should have the empowerment first. It always depends on your own teacher, you know, if your own teacher says differently, but and my teachers always say this about these texts. Yeah. And then this book, of course, that explains like the elaborate practices that are based on the understanding of the subtle body. Let's say Tummo practice, you know, of inner heat, and all the other 6 yogas of Naropa. Okay, what else? Who else? It doesn't have to be Vajrayana, by the way. We can talk about everything.
I have a question. Sorry, I don't have a raising hand function. It's kind of a mundane question. You know, when we do 100,000 Vajrasattva, for example, you can't really do it that slow and hope to get it done within this lifetime, but I can't do it that fast. So is it okay just to do it slow and then see what happens?
Yeah, I think you're in Nandoga, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yes. So in Nandoga, yes, that is a good thing that Rinpoche is saying we should practice by counting the time and not the number of recitations. You know, there's the 3 possibilities. Either we just count the number, that is actually the worst. I mean, it's still great, you know, and it gives a feeling of achievement and all of that, you know. But then apparently, according to Rinpoche, the text says by time is better, and the best would be by sign, you know, if you really like are totally purified in the Vajrasattva context, you know. So that is of course the best, you know. Or if we are doing prostrations, it's better to be totally free of pride and arrogance. That is sort of the sign of having completed the prostrations. But yeah, the second best is by time, and that I think Rinpoche asks us to do because of exactly that problem that you or many of us have. Maybe not a problem, but the concern. And so he wants us to just do it by time and not rush through the mantras, but yeah, sort of feel them, you know, take time to visualize. And again, visualizing means like feeling in this context, feeling the presence of Vajrasattva, feeling his kindness and purifying energy and wisdom, of course. Yeah, and then really, yeah, more like quality-based meditation than quantity-based, you know. Of course, we should not go totally quality and only do one mantra in 2 hours. You know, that would be maybe another extreme. But I think Rinpoche is giving us enough space to upgrade our quality without losing too much quantity. Yeah, but that is, I think that for me, that makes much more sense to do it like that, you know. When you have like 2 hours let's say 2 hours practice of Vajrasattva, and then yeah, of course you do refuge bodhicitta in the beginning, and then, but then you totally give time to the Vajrasattva. And yeah, also many teachers say like Vajrasattva, how do we know that it works? You know, like, yeah, when we feel that, you know, when we feel the negativity is gone, you know, when we feel that we are purified, or yeah, that we dropped that stain or whatever. So it always has to do a lot with really feeling it, you know, and yeah, often like in some contexts, you know, when practices are done, then it's such a hurry, you know, to recite everything and complete everything. But it feels like, for me personally, it's sometimes too much on the number, and therefore it's not really sinking in deep, you know, but it's more like so much doing and not so much being. So therefore, yeah, I think if we do it by time, then we can just be more and feel it more and don't worry too much about the actual number of recitation. What do you think?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but it's a good concern, but also like really like, for example, Kanto Rinpoche once also went into that direction, and she said, she gave like a 2 hours teaching on prostrations, and she said, if you do one prostration with this view and this, all of this, you know, then one prostration is enough, you know. So she's saying, yeah, really, like if you have that quality prostration, that's it, you know, one thing it will do. But of course, it's very ideal to do that like that. But yeah, again, find a good middle way between quality and quantity, I guess, is a good way. And Rinpoche always wants us to also enjoy the practice, right? Because if we are, I mean, not 100% enjoy that it's like too holiday-ish, but really like that we like it, because otherwise we would not like to do it again. So, and for me, if I am always like stressed and being nervous of finishing amounts of something, then I personally enjoy it less, and then I'm not feeling so inspired to go back to it. So I think that also we have to safeguard, you know. And for that, I think the ninth Karmapa often said, therefore, we should also pause the practice or stop the practice when it's really good, so that we stop with that great feeling, you know, and then we have even more momentum to do it again in the next session. Yeah, so I think this is also an important point to keep in mind here, to make it sustainable, you know, and repeatable, and meaning like, yeah, we should really like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Christelle.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just a little confused to what are we doing after Nunville? I know you could do it again. I know Malik
Yes.
told me that, but I'm just wondering, yeah, what should we do? Is this where we would try to seek out the empowerments and stuff?
Yeah, so basically it is always up to your teacher what you do after Nundro, or that you even did Nundro is ideally also up to the teacher. Generally, then after Nundro, one would focus on one specific, either one would focus on a specific deity, you know, that we then call Yidam, you know, because that's your main practice. Like in Yvonne's example that she gave, like, let's say one focuses on Vajrayogini and is doing that kind of complex sadhana every day for a long time, or whatever other deity. That is then more like if you are inclined to that kind of path with visualization and yeah, a lot of creation, maybe rituals even. But then there's also, at the same level, it's also another path which is more like simple and not so elaborate, like Dzogchen or Mahamudra, where we are then not necessarily doing so much visualization and rituals and so much doing, but then the focus is on being as simple and as unfabricated as possible. And so that is another. These are like the two options, after Nandro to enter this, and that definitely either you know it by yourself what you feel inclined to, or you get guidance from your teacher to decide. One can of course also do both, in every day. One can do half hour a specific deity practice and half hour of that more direct, unelaborate practice. But these are the two options, and yes, empowerments are necessary then to go to a specific deity practice. Also sometimes in some contexts, some empowerments are also necessary for these more direct essential practices like Mahamudra and Dzogchen. But that is the usual career sort of that we go through. But again, it could be so individual, like what you mentioned, like maybe your teacher is saying, oh, nicely done, please do the Nandro again, or please don't forget Bodhicitta and do 1 year of Tonglen. Are you a Nandroga?
Yeah, I'm almost done, which is why I'm asking. That's why I'm just wondering, can you also explain what exactly Dharmagar is? I know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm asking, because if you want to follow Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche's programs or GARs, that he laid out, then usually Nandroga is what he very often recommends first. And then the last one of Nandro is, of course, the Guru Yoga. And there already he as a person sort of comes in, as being maybe the guru. So basically then once one has completed the Nandro, especially let's say in the Nandroga and Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche's context, then the usual transition then is to go into the Dharmaga. And the Dharmaga was originally founded like 2008 by Rinpoche, when he was running some 3 years retreats in Australia, for example. But he thought it is like when we go into retreat, then we cut too much our worldly life, our jobs and friendships and family. And then we go to retreat for 3 years. And then when we come out of retreat, we too much cut the practice, that we had been familiar with over 3 years. And then it's so difficult to reintegrate, in social life or work life. So therefore he thought maybe we could stretch the curriculum of this 3 years retreat, which is like very like locked in retreat, we stretch that to 10 years, and then do the same curriculum over 10 years, like 2 hours each day. That is the commitment. Now he is sort of then even lifted the thing 10 years, but it's just a lifelong thing, what one would join. Of course, one can always leave, it's not like Hotel California, where you cannot check out, in case you know the song. But it is, you can, so many people are then, after Nandroga registering for Dharmaga. And this is then mainly like a Vajrayana practice curriculum. But even though within that, sometimes Rinpoche said, okay, let's go back to Nandro, or let's go back to Tonglen. But often it is either this more like a deity practice, what I mentioned earlier, or it's more like this unelaborate practice like Mahamudra or Dzogchen. So that is totally up to him what he then asks us to do. But for you to be eligible to join that, it is that you need to have finished Nandro usually, and that you are willing and able to commit to 2 hours practice per day, and that you accept Rinpoche as your guru. And
so then does that mean, so let's say if I do all of that, would I just email you or yeah, because I'm kind of confused as to how to get into that.
Yeah, then we yeah, you can email your instructor or the admins, and I mean, I guess you type in your hours anyway, so it will be obvious that you are completing soon. And then, yeah, you should express actively your interest then to continue with the Dharmaka if you feel that you fulfill these 3 criteria. And then, yeah, you will be on that list. And then, yeah, sometimes then maybe you will even have a short meeting with Rinpoche and then officially get into the Dharmaka. Yeah. And then Dharmaka is similar like Nanjoga. I mean, like similar in the logistics, it's a website where you can log in with a lot of resources. Rinpoche also appearing from time to time live, just what we had with Nanjoga recently. Then, yeah, also instructors are there. And yeah, but really many resources, like could be a little bit overkill-ish, but yeah, but it's also very clear what is the practice to do at the moment, and then it's very clear which resources relate to that. Yeah.
Sorry, just one more question that was more, I think, technical, but I'm still trying to understand kind of the link between bodhicitta and recognizing the nature of mind. Yeah, I'm trying to I could kind of see it in terms of feeling it, but in terms of verbalizing it and trying to actually logically, quote unquote, see that connection, I'm struggling a little bit.
Between bodhicitta and recognizing one's own nature of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So bodhicitta has 2, right? Relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. So what we recited earlier, the 4 immeasurables, this is more like the relative bodhicitta aspiration part. So where we want to develop these qualities. And then there's also the action bodhicitta, which is still in the relative level. So when we practice the 6 parameters or 10 parameters. So these are more all on a more relative training. Of course, wisdom is part of the parameter, so that would actually go to the absolute bodhicitta. But all the others are more like a relative training to make our mind, more workable, more positive, less confused, less it's less egoistic, but more open, more accommodating. So I'm using these terms in this context because that shows there are very conducive circumstances for wisdom then to be revealed or to manifest, Let's say if I'm the opposite, if I'm a naturally born killer, and very angry all the time, then there's not much space in my mind, for wisdom to arise, because I'm very so limited, very much in my box, what the first persons talked about. So therefore, this marriage, this compassion, this 4 immeasurables, the first 5 parameters there, they soften our mind, make it more gentle, open, and by that creating more conducive environment for wisdom, which is in the absolute bodhicitta or parameter number 6. And that goes hand in hand because, yeah, all this compassion thing or training on the relative level is also on a relative level, we become less selfish and less self-centered. And that is very close to wisdom, right? Where we understand the empty nature of self. And and then wisdom is basically realizing emptiness is the usual translation or the usual definition sort of. And that, of course, applies to all phenomena, but also to the nature of our mind, that we really understand the nature of our mind, first intellectually, but then through contemplation and meditation, that we then really realize the nature of the mind, of our mind. And that is absolute bodhicitta, and that is wisdom, and that is what you asked for, no?
Yeah, I think for me, I get kind of lost. I see how, if you have a lot of compassion, it opens your mind up.
Yes.
It's just, I think I probably just need more studying.
No, but you see the benefit already of compassion, right?
Yes, yeah.
And an
Um,
open mind is sort of wiser than a closed mind, right? So it's already going into that direction, no?
Yeah. I think the reason I ask this is because, you know, when you do guru yoga and you have devotion, and I know Rinpoche says a lot of the times to feel as if there is something there. And then I feel in that instance, then I feel like there is some sort of duality in some sense. So then I'm trying to,
When we, yeah,
if that makes sense, I'm just trying to understand then from that instance and that certain circumstance, where would the wisdom come in? I mean, I know it makes you feel more open, but I'm just still trying to struggle in that connection of realizing emptiness, I guess.
but okay, you said devotion is, where did devotion come from now?
Guru yoga.
Yes. So, yeah, so what do we do with Guru Yoga is also, it's not a devotion to or trust to somebody out there, right? Even though it looks like that, but as in also deity practices, in the end of the practice, we always merge, right? The Guru's wisdom mind with our mind. And we are actually not merging. That is actually a very like relative phrase, but we are more realizing, and that is the wisdom, that we have never been divorced from the Guru in the first place. So that is what Guru Yoga is about. It's not like so much being devoted to somebody out there who is higher than us, but to, what we talked earlier about the magic, that we are more identifying with our true nature, which is the Buddha or which is the Guru's wisdom mind, instead of being the ordinary crystal or something, you know. So therefore, devotion is basically, it's always leading to that too, to this wisdom and to the realization of your own nature of mind. It's never meant like theistically out there, you know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I see it. I see it, like I've read it and I've understood it in that sense. I think, yeah, I just, in my practice, I don't really, it takes time, right? So I think, I don't really see it yet, or I never had really an experience. So I guess I'm just trying to connect my practice with what I'm reading, and it's not getting there yet, but that takes time, I assume.
But also, like, if you look from the Kachu perspective, they say nature of mind is not like a big exotic thing, you know, like it's more the opposite, you know. They call it ordinary mind, you know, because you're just super simple. Rinpoche sometimes use that term also, you know, like super, utter simplicity. And then the emptiness aspect is, there is then, of course, nothing solid, nothing to pinpoint. And then the awareness aspect is, that you're in that simplicity and that non-referentialness, you're just aware, you know, of stuff, you know. That's it, you know, like it's not like flowers coming from the sky, you know, or it's not firework inside. But it's a very simple state, apparently, but full of knowing and without any limitations.
So I guess when you recognize it, you do know that you recognize it, though, right? It's not.
Yes, that is the torch of certainty that Kongtrul Rinpoche talks about. So that you cannot miss if you're enlightened, you know. It means not, even though that's not enlightenment, but the thing is, like, we're talking about awareness. So you are aware that you're aware, you know. So yes, that you cannot miss.
But it's not like, because a lot of times I do feel like I am aware in meditation,
Yes.
let's say. So, but it's not that specifically in those instances.
It could be, but we are talking here about something like very unlimited, unconditioned, all pervasive, uncreated kind of awareness. Okay. But it's also simple at the same time, really. And you know, there are some instructions that say it is so simple, that's why we don't believe it, you know, or it is so close, that's why we don't see it, you know. It is so good, that's why we don't believe it.
I think that's what I need to work on, is believing it.
yeah, good luck. But yeah, absolute bodhicitta is having wisdom, and wisdom means realizing the nature of how things are and how things appear. And that regards to all phenomena. I know how the cup appears and how it is by nature. Let's say just emptiness. But I also see how my mind appears, very turbulent thoughts, emotions. But at the same time, I also realize how my mind actually is. By nature, it is empty awareness.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Then let's see, there's some written stuff. Jeannie, do you still have a question? You tried to raise your hand, but you didn't manage, apparently. If not, I go already through some written things. There are several Tantra translated by Christopher Wilson. Are they accurate translations? Do you recommend reading them? That is Flavia is asking that. So I have never met Christopher, and I know he's translating many books, and on Facebook, I think his cat is always the editor, right? That's what he's posting. That's very sweet. Yeah, but I have never met him, but I know he's like in Buddhism since many years, and I think he was a student of Deshong Rinpoche. So I think there are many good indicators that he is translating well, but I have no personal experience, sorry. But he's translating, I think he's very Sakya orientated and translating Tantras. Yeah. So again, I don't have a personal experience, but I think he has, like objectively, he has many conducive conditions in his life that his translation is good, should be good. Then Mary
Yes.
is saying, yes, who's talking?
Ginny, I do have a question.
Good. Are you in the forest?
Am I in the forest? Do I look like I'm in the forest?
Yes,
So
the
sorry.
background, your background
Oh
picture.
yes, yeah. I'm not in that forest. No, not unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes. Have I got a video up? Oh, I can start. Sorry, I thought I had my video on. I do now.
No problem. Hi, good to see you.
Hi. Yes, I have a question about empowerment, a specific empowerment, because I joined the Europe Siddhartha's Intent Rewa Sancho. Am I pronouncing
nice.
that properly? In most mornings, and we get the lung for that from time to time from kind lamas who join us. But Maya reported that.
I needed to make a quick smoothie because I actually went the whole day without eating. Just
muting somebody.
Sorry, we're both talking at the same time.
Yeah, wait, I mute everyone else apart from us two. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Maya reported that one of the lamas, I don't know if it was Sherab, I can't remember, that said that to do the self-visualization part of the practice, we need a Guru Rinpoche empowerment, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, have I been asleep for 10 years? I don't ever remember a Guru Rinpoche empowerment being offered. Is it just that I didn't have the merit to be aware of one, or do they happen from time to time?
They do happen. Sometimes in the Jamaican Wangpo world, they're also called Sasum Diljub, like accomplishing the 3 roots. Then Guru Rinpoche is part of it. But yeah, they happen.
Right.
I don't know what we were doing. Maybe I'm not saying you were sleeping.
Probably. But so I should. So if I don't have the empowerment, when we get to that practice, I should just maybe visualize Guru Rinpoche above my head rather than attempt to. It's wrong to attempt to self-visualize if I haven't had the empowerment or the initiation. Would you say?
Usually they would say yes, but I know you are in Buddhism since decades, right? And I'm sure you have received empowerments of that same level, where you are allowed to do self-visualization. So
yes.
I don't know, it's maybe not the official answer to say that therefore you maybe can do that the same with Guru Rinpoche, because you have the understanding of everything,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like as good
okay,
as
anyway, that's helpful.
Get.
Thank you.
Yeah, but usually it is the traditional answer is yes. For that specific practice, you need that specific empowerment, and then you can do the self-visualization. But again, like yeah, I feel you have the general understanding, of all deities, and
Well, I'm not sure.
we are the deity by nature, and
Mhm.
therefore if we self-visualize, it's not making something up, you're not suddenly like Jesus who is then taken to the psychiatry, because know you're still Jinni on the relative level, but by nature you are Guru Rinpoche. So you have these, so that is actually very safe,
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Mary, you are asking, can you spare, I guess spare the unelaborated practices that I mentioned as alternative to complicated deity practices? Yes, I just write them here. So Mahamudra is one, and Dzogchen, which is like Bhakti Yoga.
I had just had trouble hearing. That makes
Oh, I
perfect
see.
sense. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So yeah, that for me that is so good, that they that all these traditions also offer these more essential, more yeah, unelaborate. For me, it's more like being instead of doing, For me, sometimes the visualization, but that's a personal thing, is a little bit too much, and then I get lost in all the details. And yeah, Mahamudra Dzogchen is very much to the point.
Thank you.
Sure. Then Flavia is writing, only the teacher can indicate our yidam. Can we adopt a deity just because we feel attracted to him or her and what we think he or she represents? Yes, that is also Tsongtse Khyentse Rinpoche once said that, like if we feel attracted to whatever deity, let's say Tara or Shinrizik, I think that were his examples, then yeah, just practice that, I forgot with whom I talked about it. When we talked about quantity and quality of practice. So yeah, it's important to like the practice, right? And to be joyful with the practice. So therefore, yeah, it's important that we are inspired with the thing that we are practicing. And yeah, if you feel that you're right, attracted to a certain deity, then by all means do that, because that will make you do it more, that will make you feel committed and diligent. You will be diligent, and enthusiastic, to practice it. And that's all that is necessary, At the end, as you know, all deities by nature are the same, So if you realize that one deity, then you realize all deities. That's how it's usually said. So therefore, that is totally the best thing, to realize that deity that you feel attracted to, if the attraction is not just like a very superficial thing, because you just like the color of his head or something like that, but really, I assume you mean like the proper heart attraction and connection. So then it's super, then it's just do it, And Rinpoche then said, even if this is not your main yidam, doesn't matter, because by practicing that deity you're attracted to, that will already like purify so much obscurations, create so much merit and all of that, that you are, that this will help you then to meet your yidam. So thanks to the practice you are doing now, you will pave the way, to realize your yidam or meet the yidam or know about your yidam. So that you can do, but of course you can also ask a teacher. But then, yeah, then there could be other dangers, if you ask a teacher and then you get the name of the deity and then you practice it, and then maybe you have difficulties in practicing it or some challenges, then maybe you get angry with the teacher or frustrated more instead of when you chose it yourself. So that could happen. But it's also a very usual thing to ask the teacher, because we assume the teacher knows more, like beyond the normal box kind of thinking, but the teacher knows more what our inclination, capacity, karmic connections, habits are that are very like hidden. and then the teacher can prescribe the deity more specifically, then which is maybe different to what I feel, you know. But again, what I said first, you know, in the end, you know, like it doesn't matter which deity you practice, you know, that will already bring you so much forward on the path, and that will also then create the possibility that you meet the other deity that is maybe your main deity, if there is any other. Yeah. Joyce is saying, and then Alvaro, but Joyce wrote first, I was mistakenly thinking we need to do deity practice before Dzogchen, that it is sequential, but here we're discussing we can do Dzogchen instead of Yidam practice. Is that correct? Both is correct. Yeah, that's always, you know, like they're always a little bit different approaches. Also, I forgot to say that to the gentleman, we talked about the nadis and the pranas and the bindus. You know how Jigme Lingpa is explaining these channels, winds, and essential drops, and the chakras, of course. So there are always a little bit different approaches. There's different numbering of chakras. There's different explanations, and so likewise, what Joyce is saying is also true. Some people say Nönro, Yidam, and then Dzogchen. That is, for some, is the proper sequence. But some also say Nönro and then either Yidam or Dzogchen. And then I also know that Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche sometimes talks about masters, like the previous Tulpa Urgyen Rinpoche, who sometimes gave Dzogchen directly, you know. Even to non-Buddhists. So there's like zero sequence in this life, at least, you know. And the idea is, and I think this is in one of the 14 root downfalls also in Vajrayana. Let's say if you, Joyce, are like let's say I'm your student and you are my teacher. You, Joyce, are my teacher. So if I'm a proper vessel for Dzogchen practice, then you, as my teacher, you have to teach me Dzogchen and make me practice Dzogchen, because that is, for me, then the best and the fastest. And you should not give me Nönro or anything, you know. If you see that I'm ready, you have to teach me Dzogchen, you know, to not delay my enlightenment. And by that, you don't delay me being able to guide students. But if you see that I'm not ready for Dzogchen, but even though I, Arne, your student, wants to practice Dzogchen, but if you see as my teacher that I'm not ready, you should not teach me Dzogchen, but you should teach me everything else, you know, like whatever you feel fit is best for me. So therefore, there's like, it's again always very individual, but nevertheless within individuality we can, or whatever word, there are still general approaches, and one general approach is what you are saying, Nönro, then Yidam, then Dzogchen. But I also know teachers who directly do it, like after the Nönro, you do then the main Vajrayana practice, which is either Yidam or Dzogchen or Mahamudra. Okay, Alvaro Luis Campos.
Hi. Arne, this is not really a question, but a request. I'd like to know if you can give us Manjushri Namasankiti Lung.
I think I theoretically could give it. I've never done it, but I received it from Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche a couple of times. But I think it's a very special tantra, so let's double check with Rinpoche. I will try to find that out. Usually he's saying, if you received the lung, you can give it. But this is a big thing. So I wouldn't just not dare to say yes without his blessing. I will check with him and with other instructors what they would say.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, what else, anyone? If one is waving. You don't know how virtual hands work, right?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. Okay.
I don't see them either. Maybe they're
I-
under React.
On
right?
underreact. Okay, I'm now
Maybe.
I'm
No,
usually
maybe not.
thinking that. Okay.
I
I
don't
was
know.
just wondering, Arne, where do we get the Dzogchen? I'm so happy we talk about that tonight, because where do we get the Dzogchen teaching from?
In the Dzogchen store.
Yes. And I mean, unless it's books, and books require sometimes empowerments or lungs or something like that. I mean, I started the peace instruction from Longchenpa, which I absolutely love that book. And I'm not even sure if I needed a lung for the whole thing, or because I was not in neither, where was it? In
New Zealand and Mexico.
New Zealand and Mexico. And so I would love to go into, but I don't know. And then the other thing is, what about if we had a teacher who said, like, if you need empowerment, you come to me, but like, okay, so I want to read the Treasure of Precious Qualities, but I don't have an empowerment. Just an example. So where do I get the Dzogchen teaching from? I mean, like, of course, I have been, over the years, I've been collecting some things. Maybe I've read some stuff I shouldn't. I mean, the Uttara Tantra, it helps me great. I don't know if that is even, but that's amazing. Longchenpa is amazing. But I need I think I need training, because if it's me, I would just sit in Vipassana with a thought and then just sit. But that I don't dare to do it in the right way. I mean, maybe, but maybe not. So now,
You also mentioned Uttara Tantra Shastra, right?
yes, I do that with Kempola.
Oh yeah, Kempo Sön and Punsak.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start from there. So yeah, all that is of course very related, and Uttara Tantra Shastra is really explaining the view or the metrics of whatever Dzogchen is using. But you will not really find so much pointing out instructions in Uttara Tantra Shastra. So Dzogchen is using exactly the same view and understanding of it, but it is then also formulating these pith instructions, that this is really like practically applied and realized. There's maybe one verse, right? I don't know if you remember, like one verse 154, I think it's in the usual counting, when it says, there's nothing to be added, nothing to be removed, but seeing reality as it is liberation. So that is like a very pithy verse in that text, Uttara Tantra Shastra, so that we understand, we don't have to add any quality in our nature of mind or Buddha nature, because everything is there. On the other hand, we don't have to remove any obscuration from our Buddha nature, because the obscuration was never there, So that is usually a very like emphasized verse. I'm sure Kempo will come to that at some point, where it's really getting a little bit instructory, and but then so that is one point. Then of course, sadhana, she mentioned. So in sadhana, we always have the generation phase where we create a lot of deity, mandala, visualization, mantra, but then in the end it's dissolution phase, right? And that is sort of where we should practice Dzogchen, when we dissolve everything, starting from outside, everything, mandala, entourage, dissolving in the deity, and then deity dissolving into the seed syllable dissolves one part into the other, and then nothing substantial is left. I mean, there was never really something substantial, but there's no reference point left. And that resting in that referencelessness sort of is then the Dzogchen/Dzogchen practice. Often that is a little bit skipped and not emphasized enough, especially in a group setting. If you do sadhana together, then yeah, it's difficult that it is in the right length for everyone. But if you're alone, yeah, you should emphasize that if you have some instructions, yes, on how to meditate in that. Yeah, and then to address, I think, the beginning of your question is also, have noticed, and I have been in many sanghas because translating or working with them, and I feel like Dzogchen or Mahamudra, all teachers teach, but not publicly. But you will get it, when you are like very like into that sangha. Let's say what Crystal was talking about, Dharmaga, it's happening in there also, like so you have to. I'm not saying that to spoil it, but to maybe inspire whoever is not in the Dharmaga yet, to do their practice to then receive those things. And I noticed that in all the sanghas, the teachers always have these smaller groups also that they teach, more practice orientated, zero study orientated, more like instruction, introduction. Avi Rinpoche, I think I know.
May I ask a question to that?
Yes.
Because, like yesterday, he has been giving was it yesterday, the talk in the Nuntoga?
For me, it was yesterday,
Yes,
but
yes.
it depends on the time zone a little bit.
Yeah, it was yesterday. And so like there he was very much, in my opinion, at least, like he was Dzogchen answering, what was it about in, like his last comments, especially, he has been talking, what was that? Like, anyway.
And he wants to go more in Nunjoga, right? That's what he said. He wants to go more into pith instructions. And
Yeah, and so he was very, very much, from my opinion, answering into like that Dzogchen approach and, to understanding that kind of view and stuff. And also like once he was talking about sadhana in beer in the deer park, like that was the most intensive teaching I heard about what he could go into Dzogchen. But then, forgive me that I asking that, is this all, or can I get more?
No, there's more. This is also public teaching in Deer Park. So by implication, there will be things that are not public and where you will be invited once you are in certain email lists, like once you're in Nunjoga, you got invited to certain Nunjoga teachings. Once you're in Dharmaga, you will be invited in certain Dharmaga events. And then within that, there might be even different paths or something, So there's more, and as I said, this is not to spoil any secrets, but just that it's all possible and happening. And Rinpoche is, as all the teachers, is totally willing to give us everything, but we also have to be ready for it, and of course it can be very individual, like as I said, maybe I'm sure some people he is already teaching the highest teachings, let's say Dzogchen, even though they are like officially very much beginners on the path. That happens. But then for the generally we as people in the Sangha, Nunjo is the first thing, and then Dharmaga, and then it happens from there. And what you always can do is like aspire, do a lot of aspirations. If you see Rinpoche, request him personally that you are very eager to know more. Plus also, if there's again something that has to do with people like Longchenpa or Jigme Lingpa or other great Dzogchen Nyingma masters, try to go there, if possible. Because like what we talked about in New Zealand or Mexico, if Rinpoche is teaching and giving the transmissions of Longchenpa and these 7 treasuries that he gave, they are like I used to say, like the 7 treasuries are like the selfie, of Longchenpa. So he's like, that's him, these 7 texts, and that is Dzogchen, like that's the main topic of these 7. So yeah, so if you hear that he's giving that again, it's sort of guaranteed that he will talk about Dzogchen in that context, He cannot do something else, then it would not be aligned with Longchenpa's view and intent. And also, I think Kanto Rinpoche once said, also in case there's financial difficulties, like start already like gathering money, in case something like that is happening again, so that you're ready. And also in our Sangha, and I mean, everybody else can do that too. We can also ask Cancer Foundation to sponsor us, to support us to go to these things. I'm not saying you, Yvonne, has no money. I have no clue, but I'm just saying in case somebody else feels, New Zealand is far away and expensive. Yeah, that's true. But therefore, start saving money now and or ask Cancer Foundation for help. They really sponsor individual things like that also. Is that okay, Yvonne?
Yes, thanks. It was quite really helpful. I mean, there's more questions, but I might come directly somehow.
Okay. Yeah, you also sent me an email. I will at some point also answer it. I already saw it. I think Alvaro's Luis hand is still up, but I think that's from before. So I guess. Oh no, you have a new one?
It was the last question.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then we have a new hand from Veronica.
Okay, so new question, Arne, related to what you were saying about traveling and seeing Rinpoche. Well, I know that I've sent you a couple of emails about his teachings that are coming in
also
Rio.
Answer your email.
Okay, well, you already answered it.
No, I will. That's
Okay, but just letting you know that really tickets are getting really expensive, and since that announcement came, the tickets were like $200 more expensive. So really, yeah, and hotels in Rio are getting really reserved. So
I am in Rio, by the way, right now.
Oh, you continue in Rio? Wow.
But already. But yes, tell me.
No, I was saying that please, if I just wanted to know, would it be safe for me to buy the ticket even though the confirmation or the inscriptions are not yet public?
Yeah, so you're asking really the wrong person, because I'm always very last minute, and my strategy is, because so many things happen in between, I don't even know from where I will come from, when going to Rio, most likely from Chile, because Rinpoche will be there before. So I could actually think of buying a ticket from Santiago to Rio, but so I'm a little bit not planning much ahead, so therefore I'm not a good person to ask. But yeah, if you see it, so I'm very sure Rio will happen. Of course, there can be so many other things why it's not happening. But Rinpoche is very, like, if something like that is announced, he is very, like, conscious about, he knows that we are already buying tickets, and it's so much money that all of us together spend, for tickets and hotels. So he will never lightheartedly just cancel it or change the dates,
Okay.
So, he's like, this is like Rio, I guess, is like I think I heard about it like 5 months ago, but it was zero announced because it was still not clear, but once it is announced, it is sort of certain,
And any idea where he will be?
That's the next thing. So date, I think, is certain, right? So you could go ahead and buy tickets. If you can buy cancelable tickets, if that's not too much extra money, maybe that's always a good idea. But again, since it's announced, it means Rinpoche is really planning to do it. It's like so many engines. That's a very German expression, but so many engines have started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
And then location-wise, yeah, the thing is, I noticed like Rio is really big, you know. And it's like from here to Copacabana, where I stay, is like, no, I stay not in Copacabana, it's 20 kilometers, you know. It can take like 2 hours, you know. So that's why I don't buy a ticket yet for a hotel in Rio, because I don't, yeah, I want to stay nearby, you know. But that is again me.
So
and
allocation is not yet even reserved for him.
This I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. And maybe the inner organizers circle, they know these things. But that is again also something, yeah. So I was in Europe, I was for many years, I was this inner organizer, you know. And then sometimes I got informations from Rinpoche, you know, like the date or the place, but Rinpoche explicitly said, don't publish it, you know. So therefore, and I got a lot of anger from people, you know, or jealousy that they think I'm withholding information, you know. So please don't feel that against the Rio
I am not
organizer.
thinking that.
No, not you, but all of whoever, because that is really not the case, you know. It's so everything is decided by Rinpoche, you know, like, okay, now, you know, suddenly you got an email or whatever, WhatsApp, okay, now you can publish it, you know, but not before, you know. Like recently he came to Berlin, and it was really like little by little that we got informations from him, you know, about the title, about the place, about the exact time and length, like how many hours a day. It is all from Rinpoche, and it's all little by little to be published. Yeah, and unfortunately, at the moment, or not unfortunately, but apparently,
Yeah, it is
according
like
to
it is
his
like that.
Wittgen mind, it is like that it's not yet to be published, which could mean the organizers don't know it yet, or they should not tell it yet. Yeah, so that and I don't.
Okay.
So
But
even
then
if
I
I would
can
be an
go ahead
organizer,
and
I could
reserve
not
the
tell.
plane at least.
I think that is safe because, as I said, that is I think this is really in the schedule of Rinpoche.
Okay, perfect. That's it. Thank you,
But
Arne.
maybe also maybe with hotel you can also, you know, I go like booking.com often, and then you can have
Maybe
things
a
like
cancellation
cancel.
free, something
Yeah,
like that. Maybe
exactly.
reserving 2 areas differently, like Barra de Tijuca and then another one in Copacabana, and then yeah,
Yeah.
one will be the right one.
But on the other hand, if you don't do that too much, because otherwise other people don't have a chance to find something.
But yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's good that we talk about it, because I think it's a common thing, even though it's very logistical, but it's important. Yeah, I'm always last minute because I just often I don't know from where I'm coming and how long I want to stay and where I'm going afterwards. So therefore I usually have one-way tickets only. And then even though if I pay a little bit more, for me, in the long run, it feels like it makes more sense for me than canceling or changing tickets and then paying fees for that. But yeah, people are very different, because I don't really have like a place where I live really, or where I have to be, or a fixed time schedule. So therefore, I don't care if maybe I come 3 days earlier to Rio, or yeah.
Okay.
So where are you staying? Where are you staying in Rio?
Right now I'm in
Arne?
Baja. In Baja.
Baja. Okay. No, I'm in São Paulo, but just.
Oh, very nice.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna be there when.
Yeah, I show you. This is my
Till
view
November.
right now.
I don't know.
This is
Oh,
Barra
Arne.
da Tijuca. Barra da Tijuca, no.
No, that's a lagoon or something. I forgot the name. It's between the ocean and the house.
In the city.
Lagoa.
Yes.
Alagoa. Okay.
Yeah. But good to see you all then in Candoling also, I guess, and Rio. Okay, anything else, or shall we conclude? Oh, here's a question by Julia Juice. Is there a special sadhana for golden Manjushri? I'm not sure if I heard of a golden one. It sounds like it's just the orange one, but I don't know. I don't know if somebody else knows golden Manjushri. Let me Google something. Oh yeah, there are tantras for golden. Maybe then it's different, but I'm not really sure, sorry. But I know once, which just for fun, because sometimes the sky looks here like that. The orange Manjushri Rinpoche once said, it's actually not orange only, but it's also a little bit light blue. It's like a mixture. Just saying that. It's like, you know, if you see the sun rise, you know, then you see actually, you know, it's a little bit oranges and then orangish and then bluish and then in the middle, sort of between these two. This is Manjushri color. I like that. Okay, guys, then let's conclude. Thank you so much for coming and discussing. It's always fun. And even though it was not a proper teaching session or anything, let's still do some dedication, because we talked about Dharma and created some merit and some positive energy, which we don't want to keep for ourselves alone, but to share with others, so that they all develop bodhicitta and then finally recognize the nature of mind, because that is indeed connected. By this merit, having attained omniscience and defeated the enemy of wrongdoing, may I free all beings from the ocean of existence with its tumultuous waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the heroic Manjushri who knows everything as it is, and as Samantha Batra likewise did too, just so to follow all of them and train myself, I perfectly dedicate these meritorious actions. May the precious supreme bodhicitta arise in those in whom it has not arisen. Having arisen, may it not diminish, but ever expand more and more. As long as space remains and as long as the world remains, may it too remain to elevate the suffering of the world. May I, in each and every lifetime, carry the weight of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. And if I cannot bear that weight, at the very least, may I be born with the burden of thinking that the Buddha Dharma could wane. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Arne.
lovely day and
Bye-bye.
night. Bye-bye. Stay healthy,
Bye-bye.
eat healthy,
you.
be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.